Well, welcome back. We're so glad you decided to spend some time with us today.
Yes. What a great day. A new location.
I know.
Changing it up a little bit.
We're in the middle school, just so you know.
For the, well, and for the, everything else previously has been filmed in our SAU, which is a great location, but I feel like I'm in an amphitheater.
I do
It's so much space.
I really like it.
I'm so distracted too. Like there's so many cool things to look at. We're the middle school. This is my happy place.
I know.
This is worse than the month when we had April Ross in, where the food was sitting right in front of me, and it's like I'm not really sure that we had a guest that day, but I do remember the food, and so we go from there. But I'm very, very excited. Ms. Andrea Castaldo, hello. How are you?
Good.
So glad for her to be here. Is currently our middle school assistant principal.
Yes.
And July 1st is transitioning into a new role. So for people historically, we added for the 25-26 school year a director of curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Commonly they use the acronym, right? The CIA person.
Yeah, there we go.
So she's the keeper of the secrets.
Yeah.
But Andrea has been selected and approved to be our new director. Couldn't be more excited for that. So, and
enthusiasm is, and that's what you need, right?
Well, and here's the thing is when this position came forward, they've been talking about this. Superintendent Winfred Fennenberg has been talking with Michael Bissett for a number of years. So we finally had the conversation and said, okay, it's time to make this happen. And so then it's okay, great, you have this opening, now what? What are you looking for?
Right.
And there's we've got so many things that are happening throughout the district, and really the big charge of the person was, can they create a unified voice?
Well, that's huge when you have all these different elements, and I mean, you have to bring it all together.
Yes.
Is that?
And so looking at some of those things, and we're going to talk about you in front of you for a second, and we'll let her go. We really want to make sure we're setting this up. So this is I'm just excited for this segment. But then it comes down to, what are you looking for in the person?
Okay.
What was important to us was building leadership experience, because you've got to be able to talk to principals and help them drive their mission, but also not so far removed that they forgot what it's like to be in the classroom. And transparently, we did a very different interview process. We had 28 or 29 applicants.
I heard that. It was a big field,
huge field. Narrowed that down, had a group of folks that then teachers and a principal, our HR director came through and did a first round, and we narrowed the field down to 3 finalists. And then what we did is we took those 3 finalists and we set up a 4-hour block. And so it was the finalist, myself, and Michael Bissett, our assistant superintendent, and we literally did a competency-based final interview. It was live data. Let's talk about how do we problem solve.
Wow.
Do we get, how are we as teammates? How, can we press on you? Or are you going to press back? Can you hold your own? As you know, Michael and I have pretty big personalities.
Right.
And so how did those things play forward? And through all of it, Andrea just showed herself head and shoulders above. So now we get to talk to you.
Say hello. No, but seriously, he has been so excited about having you come in, and we're so happy for your new position.
Give us a quick rundown for somebody that's not met you, how you got into education and the journey that brings us here today.
Yeah, I always wanted to be an educator. I always had fun playing school with my brother growing up. My grandmother was a teacher. She graduated from college when it wasn't super common for women to graduate from college. So I went to UNH. I'm a Massachusetts native. Don't hold that against me.
No way.
So I went to UNH. I was involved in the ed program there. When I graduated, I actually spent some time working with kids on the autism spectrum down in Massachusetts. I moved home for a while, decided I really wanted to be in the classroom. That's really what I wanted to do. Went back, got my master's, got my teaching certification, moved back to New Hampshire, and I spent some time as a high school language arts teacher before coming to Kearsarge 7 years ago.
Oh, that's
in the assistant principal role.
Oh, that's great. You've been here for 7 years.
This is my 7th year. Yeah.
Wow, that time went quickly, didn't it?
6.5. I guess the end of 7th.
Yeah, but still,
it counts. We'll round up here. So, but yeah, and 7 years as assistant principal here at the middle school.
So you've really had your, what's the expression, boots on the ground. You've been in the classroom. You've been in administration. So will that help?
Oh, it'll make a giant difference. And the thing about it is Andrea's work has been here at the middle school has been just pivotal as they advance the competency-based education piece, which is the real big driving force, is making sure that we've got that tight. And there are there are issues with things. We're battling report cards at different levels. You know, we're seeing a disparity, not necessarily to the detriment of kids, but the way that the elementary uses it versus how the middle school uses it for the high school, which is its own separate beast. Because now we're talking about credits, and kids are worried about their future.
Applying to colleges.
You know, how is this going to impact my scholarships?
Sure.
Can I get into Harvard? Can I get into UNH? Can I get into the military? With what we have, or even a job what we have going on. So, talk a little bit about some of the things you're most excited about with this role change.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I'm really excited to get into classrooms at the elementary and the high school and start developing those relationships with teachers that I haven't been able to spend a lot of time with. That's getting to see some of the different programs that we have in place and some of the different instructional methods that maybe I haven't been super used to at the secondary level is just really exciting. I also, we have a really cool opportunity now to really start getting greater consistency within our system that we've been building, and we have a strong foundation and lots of enthusiasm for competency-based education and kind of the shift in how we look at student learning. So it's an exciting time to be stepping into this new position.
And I would imagine to make those decisions, you're going to really have to become familiar with you know, all the pluses and minuses, right? And teacher communication to be able to communicate that, right?
Yeah.
Well, very much Andrea's position is very much a support role, but it's an accountability role. Because there's no, not to say people hide, but there's no escaping any of it. We're going to be in your classroom. We're going to be providing support. We've got teachers that are desperate for those kind of feedback moments, and so we're really building a professional development structure with our leadership team that I think reflects that. I would be remiss and not be me if I didn't ask you the opposite side of the coin. So we know what we're excited about. What gives you some anxiety? What are you looking at going, oh boy? Other than working with me, which I know creates, you know.
See, I'm glad you asked that question, because to me it's an overwhelming position. You have to take so many different elements, and with a competency-based, you know, standards in education, that is a lot to integrate and a lot to bring together. Is that scary?
It is a little scary, and I think for me, one of the biggest challenges is just the geography of our district. So sometimes when we're talking about vertical and horizontal alignment of curriculum, getting all the third grade teachers in a room to try to work out what they're doing and what their plans are, that's going to be a challenge and require a lot of creativity on our part and facilitation with the building principals to try to make that happen and make time for that really good work, because we all get so busy when we have kids in the classroom. To be able to step away to work collaboratively is a really big challenge. So that's something I'm thinking of.
Always. Well, and just time. I mean, time. Having time. Time is the one thing that we battle trying to create.
Absolutely.
You know, we're bound by the school day. We're bound by the collective bargaining agreement. We're bound by families and all these other things. And the fact that pulling somebody out of a classroom is time lost to do that. And so,
it's so important, but it's also time lost. So that's hard. I think you have a tough job.
Yeah, and having somebody that can be on, you know, in the classroom, in the buildings. We have an office that we're going to be building an office for Andrea in the SAU. Although I really jokingly think that it's probably more of just a place to store your stuff.
Bookshelf.
Because you'll be
Because you know, when we offer the positions, I don't expect to see you all the time. I want you, you know, the just need to know that you're alive, which is always a good thing. You know, there's less paperwork involved with that. What are you hoping? What's the message you want people to think about coming into working with you? Because it's a new role for the district. You know, you're stepping into a new area. So there's people that have spent time with you and those that haven't. What do you think it's important? What's an important message for you to get out there?
I'm just really excited. Please invite me to all the things that you have going on.
Oh, that's great. Yes.
I've kind of been able to joined some meetings and meeting with the math specialists next week. I'm going to a meeting at the high school this afternoon. Just trying to get as much information as I can. So if there's something cool going on, or if anybody has questions about anything, I really want to start digging in and getting to know everyone and seeing what's going on. So that's my big message. Please invite me to your classroom.
Well, sounds like communication is important.
Yeah, super important.
It's a big
and
deal.
those relationships are really key.
Again, relationships, you hear it all the time.
That's the whole show.
It's
right?
the broken, I don't want to call it a broken record, but it's a reoccurring theme. But it really could be, trust is our word of the year, and relationships is always, you can't have a relationship if you don't build trust. And I think we tie back into that. The technology, let's talk about technology here, because I know that's been a big battle.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking? How does technology incorporate with some of the curriculum work that you anticipate doing? Do you see any major battles? I know we've had one. We'll talk openly about that. There's been some grade card reporting concerns on how do we get some of that stuff done. What is it overcomable, do you think?
So you want to talk about power schools?
Yeah, we could. Let's
Rip
lay it
that
out
Band-Aid
there.
right off?
Let's lay it out there.
Yeah, I think something we've really been committed to while we developed our system of competency-based education is developing a system that is best for student learning and promotes student learning, not developing a system that's going to fit cleanly into our existing software that we have. So the biggest challenge is now we have this great philosophy, and we have teachers providing feedback in these new and innovative ways with rubrics and all these things, but we don't have a clean way to report out on that for parents.
It's problematic.
It is problematic, and so we use PowerSchool. There's a lot of benefits to PowerSchool. It's a powerhouse of a database. It's not it doesn't work so well with our non-traditional reporting on learning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
I guess the bigger challenge is the way it's, so the elementary schools are talking about changing up their report cards and making them align more with the competencies that they've developed. The middle school and high school have started reporting out on competencies and learning targets this year. So the real challenge is going to be finding something that's going to be consistent K-12, appropriate for each grade
and
band.
that's the battle, isn't it? I mean, or not battle, but that's the key.
Well, and something that when we talk about the idea of appropriate, it's also something that's seamless, because the system we have in place now is great for certain people.
Yeah.
But it is labor intensive for a lot of our teachers, and having to be mindful of that, because at the end of the day, obviously it's a commitment that the school board made and the district has a number of years ago, but if teachers aren't seeing it being beneficial for them and being more laborious, then we wind up not having the kind of success that we should.
Exactly, because they won't be able to report it out.
Yeah.
Andrea, I have good news for you.
Yeah.
I'm getting the wrap-up signal.
Yes.
We could be here. We just got started.
She could have her own. She could have her own show.
Really,
and
really.
I wouldn't say that you won't see her on the Cougar Chronicle moving forward.
We'd love that.
It would not surprise me for her to have her own segment in the future.
That would be wonderful. We'd love that. Yes. Well, thank you, and congratulations on the new position.
Thank you so much.
You have your work cut out for you.
I do.
Yes, in a good way, but really, as you said, very enthusiastic.
She's got a lot of great energy, very intelligent, has got a lot of great skills, and also can stand her own in a room of big personalities. Which you have to. Which, I mean, we laugh about it, but it's true.
No comment.
I resemble that remark, so it's okay. We're okay, but we're excited to have her on the team, and I'm looking forward to the work that you're going to do in the upcoming years. And
we invite you, Andrew, to stay by. We're coming to one of our wonderful guests.
Yes.
Who we
So
have.
every episode, we always have Mr. Michael Bassetter, our assistant superintendent.
One of
We're
our
excited to
favorites.
see him and what
Tells
he's going to
great
talk
stories.
about this year, this month. And it really has been a wonderful journey, and he really brings something different, a different flavor every time
He really does. So stay with us. We'll be back in just a bit.
on the Cougar Chronicle.